Yes, good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to discuss about the menstrual cycle. This is the continued part of the oogenesis. The next menstrual cycle. You know, this menstrual cycle it mainly occurs in the human beings, apes, and monkeys. This menstrual cycle occurs, and in other animals like cow, rabbit, estrous cycle will occur. Okay, you don't worry about that estrous cycle, you just remember it's menstrual cycle. It takes place in the humans, apes, and monkeys. And the what is meant by the menstruation? The menstruation is nothing but the bleeding. Menstruation is nothing but bleeding from the uterus of adult females. Bleeding from the uterus of adult females at intervals of time. Okay, at interval of about 28 or 29 days. Irregular intervals of about 28 to 29 days. A bleeding from the uterus of adult females at interval of about 28 to 29 days. It is called as the menstruation. And menstruation, okay. And the menstrual cycle, what we call the menstrual cycle, the event, okay, and 28 to 29 days of this, and cycle of events, and the cycle of events, and this is a cyclic process, what we call the bleeding from the uterus. Okay, this cyclic process, that's why it is called as menstrual cycle. Okay, and the menstrual cycle, the one ovum is released during the middle of each menstrual cycle. Okay, one ovum which is produced from the ovary by the process of called as oogenesis, and this is released in the middle of the each menstrual cycle between the from first day to 28 to 29 days. 28 or 29 days. In between, one ovum that is released, that is we call it as the release of ovum is called as the process called as ovulation. Okay, as stated above, menstrual cycles generally starts from, and this generally starts from 12 to 15 years. At the age of 12 to 15 years age it starts, and it continues up to 45 to 50 years. And the first menstruation is called as menarche. What is called as menarche, the first menstruation. And keep it in your mind, and this menstrual cycle is responsible, okay. It is okay, menstrual cycle is regulated by the certain hormones. Okay, certain hormones secreted by the pituitary gland. Okay, secreted by the pituitary gland. Some certain hormones they regulate this process called as the menstrual cycle. Okay, and this menstrual cycle, it includes the 4 phases. How many phases? 4 phases. The first one is the menstrual phase. Sorry. Okay, sir. First one is the menstrual phase, or it is also called as bleeding phase. Bleeding phase. And this phase, okay, in 28-day menstrual cycle, this takes place on cycle of 3 to 5 days. Which one? The bleeding phase or menstrual phase. Here what happens, okay, the production of LH hormone, okay, LH means luteinizing hormone. this luteinizing hormone secreted from the anterior lobe of the pituitary. Okay, of course, this is all controlled by the pituitary gland only. Pituitary. Okay, the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay, is considerably reduced. The production of LH is reduced. Okay, this leads to the withdrawal of the hormone, causes degeneration of the corpus luteum. Suppose this hormone, the production is reduced. Okay, it leads to the degeneration of the corpus luteum. Okay, and therefore progesterone production, of course, the progesterone produced from the corpus luteum, it is also reduced. Okay, and production of estrogen also reduced. Why? Because the LH hormone, the production of LH hormone is reduced. And I told the menstrual phase, it takes place on the cycle 3 to 5 days. Okay, days 3 to 5. Okay. And the endometrium of the uterus breaks down. What? The endometrium of the uterus. The uterus break down. Okay, and menstrual begins. When with this, I told the bleeding from uterus. Okay, the endometrium of the uterus breakdown means here the menstruation begins. And blood and the unfertilized ovum. Okay, along with the blood, the endometrium. Okay, breakdown of the uterus. Endometrium means inner wall that breaks along with the blood and unfertilized. Suppose if it is fertilized, it won't come out. Unfertilized ovum. This is called as the menstrual phase. And the second phase is the follicular phase. The second phase is the follicular phase, or it is also called as proliferative phase. It is also called proliferative phase. What takes place in proliferative phase? Proliferate means to develop. Here the endometrium ruptures means breaks where in menstrual phase, and the cells of the endometrium, they proliferate. Okay, and this includes the cycle days 6 to 13 or 14 of 28 days. Okay, 3 to 5 menstrual phase, and from 6 to 13 or 14 the proliferative phase or follicular phase. Here what happens, the FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, secreted by the same gland, pituitary, anterior lobe of the pituitary, stimulates the ovarian follicle. What stimulates the ovarian? Which hormone? FSH, ovarian follicle, to secrete estrogens. What it secretes? Estrogens. And this estrogen stimulates proliferation, means the development, proliferation of the endometrium of the uterine wall. Stimulates proliferation of the endometrium of the uterine wall. Okay, I hope these words, can you see the words? Okay, endometrium of the uterine wall. Okay, means the endometrium again thickens. Okay, with a rapid cell multiplication. The proliferation means continues the cell division. Okay, and by increase of the uterine glands and the blood vessels. This is called as proliferative phase or follicular phase. And the third phase is the ovulatory phase. Okay, in ovulatory phase, due to the production of LH and FSH, Okay, only in the menstrual phase they stop, they reduce. But in ovulatory phase, the LH and FSH hormone, they attain a peak level, the highest level. They attain a peak level. The production is very high. Okay, peak level, and it about, okay, 14 day. Okay, these LH and luteinizing hormone and FSH hormone. Okay, it is inducing the, sorry, this induces